This is HOA citation circus. She tried to shame me publicly and I stayed surgical. Welcome in. This one is about the day an HOA committee member tried to bury me under a theft accusation, and how I used her own paperwork to turn the tables. Settle in for a wild ride. You are not allowed to do that without approval, Donna Pierce screamed from my porch, waving a photo printout inches from my face. Karen screamed that she could end this if I just stopped resisting. The photo showed a package on a distinctive porch mat, the same woven pattern I had on my own front step. She claimed the mat was mine, which meant the package in the photo was mine, which meant I was the one stealing deliveries all over Brookstone Village HOA. I am a field service engineer, so my brain immediately started cataloging inconsistencies. But Donna was not interested in logic. She slammed a red stamp onto a violation notice right there on my doorstep like it was a verdict. I have witnesses, she said, her voice sharp enough to cut drywall. The notice had my name, my address, and a fine amount that made my stomach drop. $500 for theft of community property plus replacement costs for the stolen items. She tapped the cheap plastic badge clipped to her jacket and said the architectural committee had full authority to levy fines and suspend access privileges. I asked what I was supposed to have stolen. She said folding chairs from the HOA storage closet, plus at least 3 neighbor packages over the past month. I told her I had never been near the storage closet, and I had photos of my own deliveries on my own porch. She said the photo proved otherwise and she was only a messenger, but I could see her handwriting all over the accusation form she held. That was the opening salvo. I live in Spokane, Washington, in a newer subdivision called Brookstone Village where every mailbox looks identical and the HOA vibe is strict enough to make a drill sergeant nervous. I moved here 2 years ago for work and kept my head down, paid my dues on time, never caused trouble. Donna Pierce is the architectural committee member, which means she has veto power over paint colors, fence repairs, and basically anything visible from the street. She has a reputation for selective enforcement, meaning she ignores violations from her friends and hammers everyone else. Her signature move is that red stamp, and she uses it like a judge signing a death warrant. She told me I had 24 hours to pay the fine or she would report me to my employer. That threat landed hard because my job requires a security clearance, and any hint of theft could trigger a review. I felt my chest tighten, but I stayed calm and asked to see the evidence chain. She said the evidence was the photo, the witness statements, and the fact that the stolen chairs had been seen in my garage. I said she could come look in my garage right now and she would find 0 folding chairs. She said she did not need to look because she already had proof. Then she added that if I kept resisting, she could escalate this to the police and I would face real charges. I took a breath and told her I would cooperate fully, but I wanted copies of everything. She said I could request copies through the management office, but the payment deadline was tomorrow at 5 p.m., so I should focus on that. Then she turned and walked back to her golf cart, which she had parked at the curb with the hazard lights flashing. The golf cart move is one of her signature theatrics. She uses it to patrol the neighborhood like she is running a mobile command center, and today she had it loaded with binders, a tablet, and a plastic tote full of more orange warning tags. I went inside and pulled up the neighborhood chat on my phone. Nothing yet, but I knew Donna well enough to know she would not keep this quiet. I grabbed my laptop and logged into the HOA portal to check my account. Sure enough, the $500 fine was already posted, along with a note that said access to common areas was suspended pending resolution. I tried to open the complaint file to see the full accusation, but the link returned an error. I refreshed twice and got the same result. That felt wrong, but I did not have time to dig into it yet. I needed a plan. First step was to prove I did not steal anything. Second step was to figure out who did. Third step was to make sure Donna could not delete the evidence before I nailed it down. I grabbed my keys and my phone and headed out to the mail kiosk, which is where most of the package theft had supposedly happened. The kiosk is a metal corridor with individual lockboxes, and it sits at the edge of the neighborhood near the main gate. I figured if there was any camera coverage it would be there. When I arrived, I found two neighbors standing near the kiosk, both holding their phones and looking annoyed. One of them, a guy named Eric, waved me over and said Donna had just sent a blast message to the neighborhood chat accusing someone of stealing packages and warning everyone to lock their boxes. He showed me his phone. The message did not name me, but it described my street and said the suspect had been identified and fined. I felt my face go hot, but I kept my voice steady and asked if either of them had seen anything suspicious near the kiosk lately. Eric said he had not, but the other neighbor, a woman named Lisa, said she had seen Donna herself near the kiosk multiple times over the past few weeks, often in the evening when most people were inside. That was interesting. I asked Lisa if she remembered any specifics. She said Donna always had her golf cart and usually carried a tote bag or a clipboard. Lisa said she assumed Donna was doing some kind of inspection or audit, but now that I mentioned it, it did seem odd that she was there so often. I thanked her and walked around the kiosk looking for cameras. I found one mounted on a pole near the gate entrance, angled to cover the gate itself but not the kiosk corridor. That was a problem because it meant any footage would only show who drove in, not who was tampering with the mailboxes. I pulled out my phone and opened my photo gallery. I had been taking pictures of my own deliveries for months because I had heard about the theft problem and wanted proof of what I received. I scrolled back through the dates and found half a dozen photos showing packages on my porch mat, each with a clear timestamp. The mat in Donna's accusation photo looked similar, but I noticed the weave pattern was slightly different. Mine had a thicker border. I zoomed in on Donna's photo and saw the mat in her version had a thinner border and a lighter color. It was not my mat. That was clue number one. I took a screenshot of both mats side by side and saved it to a new folder labeled Evidence. Then I walked back to my car and drove to the HOA management office, which is located in a small commercial plaza about 10 minutes away. The office is run by a property management company that handles several neighborhoods, and the staff rotates, so I did not know who would be on duty. When I walked in, I found a young woman named Jenna behind the desk. I explained the situation and asked for copies of the complaint file, the witness statements, and any video footage from the gate camera. Jenna looked uncomfortable. She said she would need to check with her supervisor, but the supervisor was out until tomorrow. I said I had a payment deadline tomorrow at 5 and I needed the documents today. She said she understood, but without supervisor approval, she could not release anything. I asked if she could at least confirm whether the complaint file was accessible in the portal. She clicked through a few screens and frowned. She said the file had been opened and then closed again this morning, and the audit log showed it had been accessed from an admin account. I asked whose account. She said she could not share that without supervisor approval. I thanked Jenna and left, feeling my frustration build. Donna was moving fast, and she had access to the portal, which meant she could edit or delete evidence before I could grab it. I needed to act faster. I drove home and grabbed my laptop again. I logged into the portal and opened the access log for my own account. I saw my login times, my page views, and my file downloads. Then I scrolled down and saw something odd. My complaint file had been opened at 8:15 this morning from an account labeled Board Admin, but the file had been closed and marked restricted at 8:17, just 2 minutes later. That was before Donna showed up at my door, which meant she had prepped the accusation in the portal and then locked it down so I could not see the details. That was evidence of tampering. I took a full-page screenshot of the audit log, making sure the timestamps and account names were visible. That was clue number 2. Then I opened my email and found the receipt for my last HOA dues payment. The receipt included a line item for gate fob access and a note that all fob usage was logged for security purposes. I remembered Donna saying the stolen chairs had been seen in my garage, which would require someone to enter the storage closet using a fob. I had never used my fob for anything other than the main gate, so if I could get a copy of the fob log, it would prove I had never accessed the storage area. I called the management office again and asked Jenna if I could request a fob log printout for my account. She said she could generate that without supervisor approval because it was just my own access history. I asked her to email it to me right away. She said she would send it within the hour. I thanked her and hung up, feeling like I had finally gained a small foothold. Then my phone buzzed with a new message in the neighborhood chat. Donna had posted again, this time saying she was coordinating with law enforcement and anyone with information about the thefts should contact her directly. She included a photo of the storage closet with the door open and several empty shelf spaces visible. The message made my blood pressure spike because it was pure theatrics designed to make me look guilty. I opened the photo and studied it. The empty shelves were real, but there was no way to tell when the chairs had been removed or who had taken them. What caught my eye was a detail in the corner of the photo. On the floor near the door, there was a key ring with multiple fobs attached. I zoomed in and counted them. 5 fobs on one ring. That was odd because residents were only issued 1 fob each, and staff fobs were supposed to be kept in the office. I took a screenshot and added it to my evidence folder. That was clue number 3. My email pinged. Jenna had sent the fob log. I opened the attachment and found a 2-page printout with date stamps, location codes, and fob IDs. I scanned through my entries and confirmed I had only used the main gate, always during normal hours, never late at night or early morning. Then I scrolled down and looked at the entries for other fobs. I found a cluster of entries for a fob labeled board access that had been used at the storage closet multiple times over the past 3 weeks, often late in the evening. The timestamps matched the window when the chairs had supposedly gone missing. The log did not include names, only fob IDs, but I knew from the dues receipt that board access fobs were issued to committee members. That was the smoking gun. Donna had used her board fob to access the storage closet, and now she was trying to pin the theft on me. I saved the fob log and added it to my evidence folder. Then I sat back and thought through the next steps. I needed to confront Donna with the evidence in a way that made it impossible for her to lie or deflect. I also needed witnesses so she could not claim I had faked anything. The best opportunity would be tomorrow at the mailbox kiosk during peak hours when neighbors were picking up their mail. That night, I printed copies of everything: the MAT comparison, the audit log screenshot, the fob log, and the key ring photo. I put them in a clear plastic binder and labeled it evidence. Then I set my alarm for 4:30 a.m. because I wanted to catch the mail carrier before Donna had a chance to intercept anything else. The next morning, I drove to the mail kiosk at 5 a.m. and waited. The mail carrier arrived at 5:30, a guy named Marcus who I had seen around the neighborhood a few times. I walked up and introduced myself, then asked if he had ever handed packages directly to Donna Pierce. He looked surprised and said no, he had never handed Donna anything. He said he always left packages in the lockboxes or on porches, and if a box was too big, he left a notice. I asked if he had ever seen Donna near the kiosk when he was delivering. He said yes, multiple times, and once she had asked him for the master key so she could help a neighbor who was locked out. He said he told her he could not give her the key, and she got annoyed and left. That was huge. Marcus was a neutral third party with no stake in the HOA drama, and his statement directly contradicted Donna's story that she was just a messenger. I asked if he would be willing to write down what he just told me. He said sure, and I handed him a notepad and pen from my car. He wrote 3 sentences and signed his name at the bottom. I thanked him and put the note in my binder. By 6 a.m. I was back home, and by 8 a.m. I was parked outside the management office waiting for it to open. Jenna arrived at 8:30 and unlocked the door. I followed her inside and asked to speak with the supervisor. She said the supervisor was in but had a packed schedule. I said I needed 5 minutes and it was urgent. She made a call, and a minute later, a man in his 50s named Greg came out from the back office. I handed him the binder and walked him through the evidence step by step: the MAT comparison, the audit log showing Donna had locked my complaint file, the fob log showing board access entries at the storage closet, and Marcus's handwritten statement. Greg's face went from skeptical to serious as he flipped through the pages. He said he would need to review this with the board and the management company's legal team, but based on what I was showing him, It looked like there had been a procedural violation at minimum. I asked if he could put a hold on the fine and the access suspension while he investigated. He said he could do that, and he would email me a confirmation within the hour. I thanked him and left, feeling like I had finally stopped the bleeding. But Donna was not done. At 9 a.m. I got a call from an unknown number. I answered and heard Donna's voice, sharper than ever. She said she was reporting me to police for theft and harassment, and I should expect a visit from a deputy within the hour. She said she had witnesses who saw me near the storage closet, and she had evidence I had been tampering with HOA records. I asked what evidence. She said the audit log showed my account had accessed restricted files, which proved I was trying to cover my tracks. I told her the audit log actually showed her account had restricted the files, not mine. She paused, then said I was lying and hung up. 10 minutes later, a deputy knocked on my door. His name was Officer Hayes, and he was calm and professional. He said he had received a report of possible theft and wanted to ask me a few questions. I invited him inside and handed him the binder. He spent 5 minutes reading through it, then looked up and said it seemed like there was a dispute between me and the HOA, but he did not see probable cause for a theft charge based on what Donna had reported. He said if I had additional evidence or if Donna escalated further, I should document everything and consider filing a counter-complaint. I thanked him and he left. That afternoon, Donna went nuclear. She posted a community safety alert in the neighborhood chat, claiming there was an active theft ring operating in Brookstone Village and urging everyone to review their doorbell camera footage for suspicious activity. She included a generic description that could apply to half the men in the neighborhood, but everyone knew she was talking about me. The chat exploded with reactions. Some people asked for specifics, others shared their own theft stories, and a few said they had seen Donna herself acting strange near the mailboxes and the storage closet. One neighbor, a retired teacher named Carol, posted a screenshot of her own doorbell camera showing Donna walking up to a porch with a tote bag at 9 p.m. 3 weeks ago. Carol said she had assumed Donna was delivering HOA notices, but now she was not so sure. Another neighbor posted that he had seen Donna loading folding chairs into her golf cart one evening, and assumed she was moving them for a community event. The thread turned into a cascade of suspicion aimed at Donna, and within an hour, she deleted her safety alert and posted a terse message saying the matter was under investigation, and everyone should stop speculating. That was the turning point. The neighborhood had seen enough of Donna's behavior to start questioning her version of events, and now the pressure was on her, instead of me. I spent the rest of the afternoon reaching out to neighbors who had posted in the chat, asking if they would be willing to share their footage and statements with the management office. 5 people said yes and emailed their files directly to Greg. By the next morning, Greg called me and said the board had scheduled an emergency review meeting for that evening. He said I was invited to attend, but it was optional. I said I would be there. He also said the fine and access suspension had been officially lifted, and my account was clear pending the outcome of the review. That was a relief, but I wanted more than just a clean slate. I wanted Donna held accountable. The meeting was held in the clubhouse at 7 p.m. When I arrived, I found about 20 neighbors in the room, plus Greg, 2 other board members, and Donna. Donna was sitting at the front table with her arms crossed and her face set in a hard line. Greg opened the meeting by summarizing the complaint, the investigation, and the evidence I had submitted. He projected the fob log on a screen and walked through the entries showing board access activity at the storage closet during the time frame when the chairs went missing. Then he showed the audit log screenshot proving Donna had locked my complaint file. Donna interrupted and said the fob log proved nothing because multiple people had access to board access fobs, and the audit log just showed normal administrative work. Greg said that might be true, but the combination of evidence, including the neighbor footage and Marcus's statement, raised serious questions about the chain of custody and the integrity of the accusation process. He said the board was recommending that the complaint against me be dismissed, and that Donna be placed on administrative leave from the architectural committee, pending a full audit of her access and activities. Donna stood up and said this was a witch hunt, and she had witnesses who would back her up. Greg asked her to name the witnesses. She said she had multiple people who saw me near the storage closet. Greg asked her to provide their names and contact information. She fumbled with her phone and said she would send the list later. Greg said the board needed the names now if she wanted them considered. She said she did not have them with her. The room went silent. Then Carol stood up and said she had reviewed her full camera archive and found footage of Donna removing chairs from the storage closet on 3 separate nights. She said she had already sent the files to Greg. Donna's face went pale. She said Carol's footage was out of context and did not prove anything. Carol said the timestamps matched the fob log exactly, and the footage clearly showed Donna loading the chairs into her golf cart. Greg thanked Carol and said the board would review the footage as part of the audit. Another neighbor, a guy named Tom, stood up and said he had seen Donna at the mailbox kiosk late at night multiple times, and once he saw her holding a package that did not have her address on it. He said he did not think much of it at the time, but now it made sense. Donna said Tom was lying and she had never touched anyone's packages. Tom pulled out his phone and showed a photo he had taken weeks ago of Donna standing near the kiosk with a box under her arm. The photo was blurry, but the box was clearly visible. The room turned into a low roar of overlapping voices. Greg called for order and said the board had heard enough to proceed with the audit and the administrative leave. He said Donna would be notified in writing within 24 hours, and her access credentials would be suspended immediately. Donna grabbed her stack of orange warning tags and her plastic badge and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. After the meeting, Greg pulled me aside and said the board appreciated my patience and thoroughness. He said the audit would take a few weeks, but based on what they had seen so far, it was likely Donna would be removed from the committee and possibly face civil penalties for misuse of HOA resources. He also said the management company was reviewing its access control procedures to prevent similar issues in the future. I thanked him and left feeling lighter than I had in days. Over the next 2 weeks, the audit results started leaking out through the neighborhood grapevine. It turned out Donna had been using her board access to enter the storage closet, remove chairs and other supplies, and sell them online. She had also been intercepting packages at the mailbox kiosk and returning them for refunds or selling the contents. The total value of stolen property was estimated at over $3,000. The board filed a formal complaint with the police, and Donna was charged with theft and fraud. The HOA also issued a formal apology to me and refunded the $500 fine, plus an additional $200 for the inconvenience and stress. They put a hold on further fees pending a full review of the enforcement process. Donna's access credentials were permanently revoked, and she was banned from serving on any HOA committee in the future. The neighborhood chat erupted in celebration, and several neighbors sent me thank you messages for standing up to her. The funniest moment came a month later when I saw Donna at the grocery store. She was in the checkout line with a cart full of folding chairs, clearly trying to replace what she had stolen. When she saw me, her face went red and she abandoned the cart and walked out. The cashier looked confused, and I just smiled and paid for my groceries. The final twist came when Greg emailed me a copy of the portal audit report. It confirmed that Donna had used her admin access to open my complaint file, lock it with a restricted flag, and then delete the supporting documents. The report also showed she had done the same thing to 2 other residents who had questioned her enforcement decisions. The management company terminated their contract with Donna and implemented a new policy requiring all admin actions to be logged and reviewed by a second party. As for me, I kept my head down and went back to my normal routine. My job was safe, my reputation was restored, and I had a binder full of evidence proving I was right. The whole experience taught me that when someone in power tries to steamroll you, the best response is not to fight louder, but to document smarter. Donna had all the authority and all the theatrics, but in the end, a vendor invoice trail that proves who ordered and received the missing supplies, a portal log that showed my appeal was opened, then deleted minutes later from an admin account, and the HOA refunding charges and putting a hold on further fee, pending review were enough to bring her down. The neighborhood is quieter now. The theft problem vanished as soon as Donna was removed, which tells you everything you need to know. People still talk about the drama, and my name comes up as the guy who took down the HOA bully. I do not love the attention, but I will take it over being framed for theft any day. The whole saga lasted about 6 weeks from start to finish, but those 6 weeks felt like 6 months. Every time I see a folding chair now, I think about Donna's face when Carol showed that footage, and I cannot help but smile. If there is a moral to this story, it is that HOAs only have as much power as you let them have. Donna thought she could bury me with fines and threats and selective enforcement, but she forgot that every rule she weaponized against me could be turned around and used against her. The red stamp she loved so much became a symbol of her downfall, and the golf cart patrols that were supposed to intimidate everyone just made her look ridiculous once people realized what she was really doing. I still live in Brookstone Village, and I still pay my dues on time. The new architectural committee is run by a retired engineer who actually reads the bylaws and applies them fairly, which is a refreshing change. I see Greg at the management office sometimes, and he always gives me a nod and a smile. The neighbors treat me like a minor folk hero, which is funny because all I did was keep my receipts and stay calm under pressure. Donna moved out of the neighborhood a few months after the charges were filed. I heard she took a plea deal and paid restitution, but I do not know the details, and I do not care. She is someone else's problem now. What matters is that the people who live here can get their mail, use the clubhouse, and park their cars without worrying about some petty tyrant with a clipboard and a grudge. That is the real win. I still have the evidence binder in my garage just in case. I doubt I will ever need it again, but it is comforting to know it is there. Every time I walk past it, I remember the moment Greg projected that fob log on the screen and Donna's whole story fell apart. I remember Marcus writing his statement in the early morning light, and Carol standing up in that meeting and calling Donna out in front of everyone. I remember the neighbors who had my back, even when they barely knew me. That is what community is supposed to be. Not a bunch of rules enforced by someone with a power trip, but people looking out for each other and holding the bullies accountable. Brookstone Village is not perfect, but it is a lot better now than it was 6 months ago, and I am proud to have played a part in that. I appreciate you hanging in there.